But if I'd known you were terrified of midgets, I wouldn't have done the whole thing to begin with. Hi, my name is Cooper Andersonfield, and I would personally like to welcome you to APM News Network. Tonight, we have a very serious issue to discuss with you. Have you ever wondered why many congressmen leave office much wealthier than they enter? I mean, the average salary for senators and congressmen isn't exactly chump change. I would kill for a $174,000 salary if it didn't mean I had to work at this fucking shithole. But it's certainly not the millions that they have once their terms are over. So how is it that these seemingly ordinary congressmen amass untold fortunes? Well, the answer is insider trading. And it happens more often than you think. Insider trading. What is it, and how is it threatening the very fabric of America the Beautiful? Okay, so insider trading is the illegal practice of trading on the stock exchange to one's own advantage through having access to confidential information. What better place to attain that inside information than in the government itself? Several academic studies show that the investment portfolios of congressmen and senators consistently outperform stock indices like the Dow and the S&P 500, as well as the portfolios of virtually all professional investors. Democrats' portfolios outperform the market by a whopping 9%. Republicans do well too, and the trading is widespread, although a higher percentage of senators and representatives trade. I'm shocked. Which is not surprising because senators outperform the market by an astonishing 12% on an annual basis. 12%. These facts cannot be because elected officials are better at picking stocks than all the top corporate executives in America. If they were, I don't think they would be in Congress. The only explanation is insider trading on non-public information that politicians receive from their government positions. But how is it that they, the United States Congress, can inside trade when nobody else can? The question baffles even some of the best and brightest financial minds in America, including long-time expert in the field, Darren Gurney, who is now live with our very own news correspondent, Leah Seesfeld. Leah?
What's your name?
Oh, no, it'll be quick. Please.
Okay. So what's your name?
I'm Leah.
Leah, hi.
Yeah,
Understand, I'm with you.
what do you think about congressional insider trading?
Congressional insider trading, well, I think there has been a lot of talk about congressional insider trading.
Any other thoughts about it? Do you have any way you think they can fix it?
Well, fixing it's definitely something that's been addressed and discussed, and we'll see how the magnitude of the situation resolves itself.
Any way that you would want it to be fixed personally?
Well, my personal opinion on it is very convoluted and complex, and I don't know if I have time to get into that right now. Okay, but I thank you for your time. It's great meeting you. It was Leah, right?
Yeah.
It's great meeting you. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for nothing. Expert in his field, huh? Oh, we're live, aren't we? Okay, here we go. You see, insider trading laws are written in a way that makes it very easy for Congress to do whatever they want. This makes sense, obviously, because Congress writes these laws. And the big problem is, there are no rules for congressmen. The Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, is responsible for enforcing federal laws pertaining to conduct in the marketplace. The law says that it is expressly prohibited for anyone to trade on knowledge obtained inside the workplace. But you see, all of the SEC regulations involving insider trading are fully in effect for all Americans in the marketplace only. That is where the jurisdiction ends. This means that members of Congress can pretty much do whatever they want, no matter how illogical it may seem to the general public. That premise certainly hasn't stopped them before. So, the moral of the story is something like this. It is absolutely prohibited for any American to insider trade unless you happen to be accessing the best possible, purest form of inside information. Just how our forefathers intended the system of checks and balances to work. The congressmen deposit their checks and increase their balances. Consider this conflict of interest. A senator in the Defense Committee is free to trade defense stocks, and senators in the Banking Committee are free to trade bank stocks. And the best part is that it's completely legal. Is it a coincidence that many congressmen sold bunches of stocks before the 2009 crash and put them in options? Also, who wrote the script and put bunches? I don't know. Or is it a coincidence that certain healthcare stocks skyrocketed when Congress was debating healthcare the same year? Coincidence? I think not. Let's take the examples of former Speaker of the House and permanent old lady, Nancy Pelosi. CBS's 60 Minutes reported in November of 2011 that Pelosi was involved in a huge Visa IPO back in 2008. Now, I don't know about you, but I find it pretty interesting that she was buying up 5,000 shares of Visa at the same time Congress was debating credit card legislation.
I wanted to ask you why you and your husband, back in March of 2008, accepted and participated in a very large IPO deal from Visa. At a time there was major legislation affecting the credit card companies making its way through the House. And did you consider that to be a conflict of interest?
I don't know what your point is of your question. Is there some point that you want to make with that? The fact is, your basic premise is a false one, and it's no use our spending.
I don't understand. Why is it false? You participated in the IPO.
Well, I have many
and at the time you were
investments, but
Speaker of the House.
No, please, Nance, do whatever you want. Don't worry about it. You didn't do anything illegal or anything. There's no doubt that members of Congress and their executive branch should be held to the same standards as every other American. The good news is, high officials and even the President of the United States assure us that they have the situation under control. That's why the Stock Act, or Stop Trading on Congressional Knowledge Act, you see it's an acronym, was passed to specifically end unrightful congressional insider trading last year. Basically what this means is, if you're a senator in the banking committee, you won't be able to trade bank stocks. So, the Stock Act was passed with its major transparency provision taken out, and lawmakers will still be able to insider trade. What exactly does the Stock Act do? To help shed light on the subject of the Stock Act and congressional insider trading as a whole, my news team had the privilege of getting an exclusive interview with very high-ranking politician Noam Bramson. We go there now.
I would say as a general matter, I think the rules that apply to every citizen ought to also apply to members of Congress. And indeed, you could argue and should argue that a higher standard ought to apply to our leaders. That we should strive to eliminate not only the actuality of corrupt practices or conflicts of interest, but also the appearance of conflicts of interest that can reduce public confidence in the ability of our government to make decisions on the merits. I'm sure very often the President is confronted with the choice of an imperfect piece of legislation that nonetheless makes some progress on an important public goal, or taking no action at all. And it may be, I don't know for sure, but it may be that the President made the decision that, although flawed, the legislation nonetheless makes things better than they are with the status quo. Yes, I believe reform is necessary on multiple levels. I think our campaign finance system is completely broken, that it creates all sorts of potential for undue influence, that it distracts elected officials and candidates, that it consumes time that might otherwise be spent establishing relationships and learning about issues. I think that the manner in which our legislature, the Senate, and the Congress operate tends to impede progress, tends to empower relatively small clusters of population to overwhelm the interests of the majority. So I think there are any number of aspects of the way our government functions that absolutely require reform. Required is, on the part of elected officials, the will and the determination to cast the difficult votes that would adopt reform. What's required on the part of the judicial branch, especially the Supreme Court, is a better grasp of the practical implications of their decision. And I think what's required on our part as citizens is to care about this issue. You know, a great majority of people want reform, but if we're not prepared to vote on that basis, then the incentives for politicians to act or not act just aren't there. So all of us have a role to play in the democracy in educating ourselves and making sure that our choices at the ballot box reflect the things that we actually want to see our government do.
I would like to cap off this show on a more personal note. Back in 2009, a lot of small investors were hurt by the Great Recession, while many members of Congress got rich off their seemingly harmless insider trading. News correspondent Leah Seesfeld was able to interview a few individuals particularly hurt by the Great Recession and a congressman's perspective on the subject. Let's go to Leah.
Hello, Congressman John Sided.
It's good
It's
to see you.
very nice to meet you. Thank you for taking time out of your oh-so-busy day so we could ask you some questions. First off, do you have any idea what congressional insider trading is?
Oh yes, congressional insider trading. It's a very important issue that Congress and the administration and I have been looking at very closely. We think that the trading inside, congressional trading, is a very touchy issue that we're trying to address.
Now, if you look over to this screen, we're going to play some videos of citizens of the United States and what has happened to them over the past year. Thank you for coming out here today. Our first question is, what did you lose during the recession?
My English is also can I speak Chinese?
Yes.
前2年的时候我到美国，因为那时候经济还挺好的，我把我的那个所有的汇款都放到股票市场里。最近几年，经济不太景气，我把我的钱都输光了在股票市场里。然后呢，我连 AP 都付不起了，AP 的钱都付不起了，甚至连去上大学都是问题。You are the reason why I hate American. I won't go back to China because of you.
As so many Americans have during this last recession, what did you lose?
My gym membership. I'm not able to bring my clothes to get tailored anymore. As you can tell, I sold this little guy on. My family is now eating from cans. I put on a lot of weight from stress. I'm depressed at least 5 nights a week. I feel like I lost everything. I lost all hope.
And as you know, Congressman John Siden's stocks went up 90% during this recession. Do you have anything to ask him or say to him about
Do you
that?
care about anybody else but yourself, Congressman? Do you care about us? Is the middle class not enough? Disgrace.
Now, what is your response to these videos?
It's horrible that these people have lost their money, but I don't know much about the market, but it seems like when some people make a lot of money, it only makes sense that other people are going to have to lose money. And considering I've made a ton of money in the market lately, it only makes sense that some people have lost some money.
And what would you say to these people blaming you for insider congressional trading?
I mean, I wouldn't say that we've done anything wrong here, but we're just playing the stocks just like anyone else. So I feel like that's the name of the game. Some people are going to make ridiculous amounts of money, like myself and my fellow congressmen, whereas other people are just going to have to draw the short end.
And how did you choose these stocks? You did say that they went up 90%.
Right, just like anyone else, listening to the news and the debates inside the Congress chambers and what they've been discussing, like healthcare and things like that, and just trying to use the information that most congressmen have, the average congressman has to make my decisions.
And lastly, might be a little personal, but what did you spend the money on? Any charities or government projects or anything like that?
I recently joined a yacht club with my wife and my children. My son actually recently won a tennis tournament, and so it's been great. I think one of the men in the video actually works at the yacht club. It was very interesting to see him. So we've been enjoying that greatly.
Great. Thank you very much for your time.
Shoot. Okay, well, folks, we're just about out of time. Tomorrow night, don't miss another exciting news broadcast where we auction off Congressman Jonathan Siden's house. Goodbye for now. Go for yourself, New Rochelle. And I'm Cooper Andersonfield. Oh, God.